am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan? Oh Lord, help this man. Lord, I am just a simple man.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الرسول الصادق الأمين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to a new episode of our program, One Step Closer. We're live with you tonight, and let me just tell you something. We're trying to fix our playlist a bit so that we're able to get on the hour exactly, but the reason that we're delayed about 10 minutes is not because of something on our end, but it's because Taraweeh is ending in Mecca, and then we have to tell you about the ayat that were said in the Taraweeh with, of course, Sheikh Muhammad Salah and his guests in our program Blessed Nights. So by the time it ends, right after it, we are on air. So we apologize for the delay. We're trying to see what's the best solution to fix the problem. Will it be fixed on its own as Maghrib is earlier, becomes earlier every day, or will we have to change the time of the program to start at 12:30 a.m. Mecca time instead of 12? We're seeing right now, inshallah, what we can do about this issue, but inshallah, as soon as we know, we will let you know bi'idhnillah ta'ala. But until then, our program technically begins at midnight, but realistically it begins around 12:08 or 12:10, inshallah. Either way, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this next hour an hour of His remembrance, an hour of seeking His forgiveness, and an hour of coming closer to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala through everything that we say, and hopefully everything that we implement from the things that we say. If you remember yesterday, we talked about the topic of heedlessness, and I said that I don't want to be negative. I don't want to call it a negative name. I called the episode Sleeping Giants. And if you remember, what we said is that inside each one of us is a sleeping giant. A giant that wants to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a giant that wants to do great things for himself, great things for his family, great things for the Muslim ummah, and great things for humanity at large. But that giant was sleeping, and we needed to wake him up. And I hope, inshallah, that after last night's episode that we woke him up. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, from the feedback that I read yesterday on Facebook, from all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, I feel that alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we are going on the right path, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. And tonight, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we take really the first step. The first step, as we take one step closer, as we talked with each other, to Jannah. One step closer to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I was thinking, what is that step that we can begin with, really, our program? Of course, there are a lot of steps that we're going to be taking throughout the month of Ramadan, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. But what is the first thing? And I kept on thinking, what is really the biggest problem that we have as either practicing Muslims or as Muslims who want to be practicing? And I came to realize that that problem is the balance, the perfect balance. And that's why I called tonight's episode Perfect Balance. Perfect balance between what? The perfect balance between something called the deen and something called the dunya. Something called the akhirah, the real life, which is in the hereafter, and something called the dunya that we live in. What is the perfect balance? Should we only be focusing on the akhirah? As some new Muslims or some people who are starting to practice the deen try to do? Or should we only be focusing on the dunya, and we're so saturated with the dunya and all we care about is the dunya, and we may go to work and do many things and miss on our prayers, or we may try to get any source of income when we don't really care if it's halal or if it's haram or whatever it is? Or should we make a balance? Should there be a perfect balance? A concept in Islam, that part of it is called al-zuhd. And we'll talk, inshallah, in a little bit what is the definition of al-zuhd, and we'll see what the great imams of Islam define zuhd as. But this idea that we're talking about is the balance. The biggest problem that we have many times as Muslims, especially as Muslim youth, but as Muslims in general. And we took a poll, my dear brothers and sisters, on our Facebook page to try to talk about this issue. But before I talk about the poll, let me first, in just a moment, welcome my two guests who are joining me in this discussion tonight. Brother Nadir, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Brother Mustafa, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother Mustafa, of course, is my dear brother in Islam, and Brother Nadir Al-Mujahid is the founder of the website Outstanding Muslim Parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for all the help that you help Muslim parents educate their children, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair. And of course, my dear brothers and sisters, we'd love for you to join us in this discussion. We've extended this segment, inshallah, to make it longer so that we can get your phone calls and your participation. So feel free, inshallah, to give us a call at 002-0238-555, 248 or 249, inshallah. That's 002-0238-555, 248 or 249, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Or you can give us a call for free through Skype on our Skype account, Huda_TV, Huda_TV. And the question that we're asking tonight is the question that we're all contemplating on, that we're all trying to find the answer to. How can we balance between deen and dunya? And what are your struggles? Do you find it easy to balance between deen and dunya, or do you find certain hardships? And if so, what are these hardships? Call us, inshallah, and share your comments with us and ask us your questions. Now, let me go back to the poll. So brothers, we took a poll on our Facebook page, and we asked brothers and sisters if they think that it is hard. How hard is it for us to balance between deen and dunya? And subhanAllah, 75% of brothers and sisters said it's very hard. 25% said it's very easy. So I can tell you that I'm one of the 75%. With all the things that we have in our lives, all the struggles that we have in our lives, all the busy schedules that we have, I feel it's really a struggle to balance between our deen and our dunya. Brother Nadir, I want to hear your reflections about the results of this poll.
Bismillah. I think that, alhamdulillah, I didn't expect those results, but then again, I'm not necessarily surprised by them. It really comes to perception in what we consider difficult or hard as opposed to what we consider easy. Because, well, alhamdulillah, after I had accepted and embraced Islam, once I understood the concept of ibadat and ibadah, then I was able to really get a balanced view of things, as opposed to, as you mentioned, when people, they come to Islam or whatnot, or they choose to start practicing, then they go from one extreme to another.
To the other extreme.
Right,
yes.
But alhamdulillah, when you understand that everything that you do is a part of ibadah, when Allah Ta'ala says He created mankind and jinn for His worship, that does not mean just only the rituals. In dealing in business transactions, in playing with your children, and being with your spouse, and having good relations with your family, all of this is part of ibadah. So once I understood that, alhamdulillah, then it wasn't as difficult or as I perceived it would be, because all of these things are part of Islam, and all of these things can give us barakah or go against us. So it depends on how our conscience is, when it comes to that. But yeah, it's kind of shameful that many of us feel it's very hard when this deen is a religion of ease.
MashaAllah, barakallah feek. Well, I have to tell you that it could be also a little bit deceiving sometimes, because sometimes the shaitan comes to us in that way. He says, He says, let me make them do everything and think of it as worship. So we actually end up forgetting the worship. Some people say, well, I'm worshiping Allah today, I'm going to work. And they miss out on their prayers. They miss on a couple of prayers, or they delay the prayers. They say, I'll pray all 5 prayers when I go home. Brother Mustafa, I'll hear your thoughts about it after I take this phone call from Brother Ahmed. Brother Ahmed from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're calling us through Skype, brother. Ramadan Mubarak, first of all.
How are you, Mr. Ossama?
Go ahead, brother, go ahead. Brother Ahmed, assalamu alaikum. Looks like the phone line was cut off, inshallah. The Skype call was cut off. Inshallah, Brother Ahmed, try to give us a call back. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, feel free to give us a call and share your thoughts. How hard is it in your life to balance between deen and dunya, and what advice and what tips do you have for our brothers and sisters? 002-0238-555, 248 or 249, inshallah, or on Skype, Huda_TV. Brother Mustafa, this idea of the perfect balance, what are your thoughts about it?
I agree with the brother Nadir, actually, that I think it depends on how we understand it. I think that 75% said that it's really hard to balance between deen and dunya, because the way they understand deen is different from those who understand the 25%. So it depends on how we understand it. If we know that it's smiling at your brother's face is something that you can be rewarded on, then we know that this is something of deen. It's not just the rituals. It's not just staying in the mosque and praying to God. This is not just worshipping Allah. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was with his companions, and then he said that even when you have your relationship with your wife, you're rewarded for this. And then they were surprised and they asked him, this is just having a relationship with one's life is something normal that we have every day. So how can we be rewarded for this? He said, if he does the same thing in a forbidden way, someone who's not his wife, then he is punished, and therefore he is rewarded if he does it in a halal way, in a permissible way. So it depends on how we understand what deen is exactly. I think we should understand that deen is not just the rituals, as Brother Naveer said. We should understand that it's more than this. You can be rewarded even for eating, for sleeping, if you have the intention that you eat to worship Allah. Like, for example, if you sleep and you intend to wake up in the night and you sleep just to be able to pray to Allah, this sleep you are rewarded for it. So this is kind of balancing, sleeping, dealing with the people, even smiling at someone's face. All of this is included in deen. So it depends again on how we understand the deen exactly. It's not just worshipping Allah and staying in a mosque and praying the whole day.
I like your angle. So I think we can say really that there are three types of main categories that we have. Okay, we have of Muslims. We have people who are on one end of the scale. All they care about is the dunya. And even if inside of their hearts they say, no, I care about my deen, I'm a Muslim, I try to do some things. In reality, everything in their action shows that all they care about is the dunya. Let me give you an example of that, okay? The perfect example is this. It's 11 p.m. right now, and you need to go to work at 7, you need to wake up for work at 7 a.m. And Fajr is not corresponding with the time that you're waking up for work. So, sometimes some parts of the world, during some times of the year, you wake up for work and you wake up for Fajr at the same time. You're waking up around, like 7 a.m. if you go to work at 9 or something. But in other times of the year, if you sleep at 11, you need to wake up for Fajr at 3, right? And then you need to pray, and then you need to get up again to go to work at 7. So the way you know if you're in the first category is that if you sleep at 11 and you don't wake up for Fajr, and you don't have the intention to wake up for Fajr, and you say, I'm going to miss out on my sleep and I'm not going to be able to go to work, then you know, and you wake up at 7, then you know you're from that first category.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
That's the first category. Now the second category is a group of Muslims who say, you know what, I'm here for a limited number of years, I'm here for a limited number of days, a limited number of hours, who knows, only maybe a few seconds. Forget about this dunya totally. All I'm going to focus on is my worship. All I'm going to focus on is my direct relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to stay up and I'm going to pray the whole night, and who cares if I go late to work? And who cares if I miss an entire day of work? Allah will provide. Right? That's the second category. Both of these categories are wrong. Both of these categories go against Islam. But the correct category, which again is a very, very hard thing to achieve, is the category that achieves that perfect balance. It's able to balance between the two. It's able to take the good out of the dunya and at the same time focus on the akhirah. And maybe many times take what's in the dunya, as you said, and put it into their scale of the akhirah. We asked brothers on the street what they thought of this word in Islam called zuhd. A word that's misunderstood many times, my dear brothers and sisters. So let's go ahead and see what they had to say about it. We had, of course, different responses. Then when we come back, inshallah, we'll see what the scholars of Islam, like Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, had to say about the concept, the correct understanding of the concept of zuhd. Let's take a look, inshallah.
I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
There should be a balance between dunya and akhirah.
Every single action you do
The question is, will it benefit your akhirah or will it not? What does Zuhd mean to me? Can you define Zuhd exactly?
Zuhd, in my opinion, it means like when you're cleaning yourself, you know, from like bad words, bad environment, your deeds.
I don't know what the Zuhd is.
Muslim must have Zuhd. That is, Zuhd means asceticism. That is, there should be a balance between striving to desire the world and the hereafter.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
As you see, my dear brothers and sisters, we had various responses about this idea of zuhd, a word that's so often misunderstood, that pushes a lot of people actually away from the deen. What do you mean zuhd? Can you tell me, Brother Mustafa, what are some of the misconceptions that you often hear when you hear this word zuhd?
I think that some people believe that zuhd means is like to just to stay at home, or stay in a mosque and pray to Allah, and that's it. And you never deal with the people, you never communicate with them. You're not the one of person who looks after, like who does not have a business, for example, or like he is just the type of person who stays in the mosque and prays to Allah the whole day. He fasts forever and so on. And this reminds me of one of the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when three of his companions went to follow up the way he worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they looked at the way he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they said, okay, this is Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and all of his sins is forgiven. All sins are forgiven. So they said, one of them said, okay, I will fast forever. I'll fast for the rest of my life.
And I'll not ever break my fast, so I'll fast every single day.
Yes, every single day. And the other person said, I will pray the whole night, I will never sleep at night, I will just pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last one said, and I will never have a wife. So this is the concept of zuhd, that some people believe that this is the concept of zuhd. But let's see what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, this is the way of my life, and the one who does not follow this way is not from us. So this is...
So the Prophet ﷺ said that I fast and I break my fast.
Yes.
I pray and I sleep.
Yes.
And I marry women.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So subhanAllah, and he said, this is the way of my life, and he who does not follow this way is not from us. So I think this is one of the misconceptions that some people have about the idea of zuhd, the concept of zuhd.
Jazakallah khairan. We have Sister Asya with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Asya.
This is Sister Asiya from KSA.
Go ahead, Sister.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Yeah, I just want to share a few of my thoughts. Yes, it is difficult for us to keep a balance between this dunya and deen, but inshallah we can strive hard if we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. And if we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help and we make a niyyah to complete the duties of dunya and deen together in this world, inshallah, I feel that the help will surely come. That is what the ayat which was there in the Surah Imran, the last chapter of the last verses of Surah Imran, what Sheikh Salah was explaining about that we have to make a niyyah. We have to decide it, and whatever you have to do, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give ajr for a niyyah also.
Yes.
So inshallah, if we are going to get ajr for a niyyah also, inshallah Allah will help with the duties in this world also and hereafter. Yeah, it may look apparently very difficult, but with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we may attend some tests and all, but inshallah Allah will make easy for us.
Ameen ya Rabbi.
Jazakallah.
Barakallah feeki. Beautiful thoughts, mashallah. Jazakallah khairan, Sister Asya. Brother Nadir, mashallah, you're dressed very sharp. You always are on your programs and everywhere. Does this contradict with the idea of zuhd? Because some people think zuhd means to wear, clothes that are not too good.
Alhamdulillah, it's funny you mention it, because Mustafa and I, we were just speaking about a hadith, and I don't remember the name of the companion. Maybe you can help remind me. However, one companion came to Prophet ﷺ mentioning about another one in his shoes, and he had beautiful shoes and beautiful clothes. because that's what he liked to do. And the Prophet ﷺ, it sounded as though in this hadith that it was implying as though something may have been wrong with it. So he was waiting for the Prophet ﷺ to speak, and he said, well, alhamdulillah, Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. And we're told to beautify ourselves. Again, the issue is not dealing with being vain. And the issue is really with being grateful. The main thing about us as Muslims, which will determine whether or not we consider something difficult or easy, is our identity. Because if we are seeking to please Allah Ta'ala, then alhamdulillah, as long as we are in Allah's favor, it matters not what anyone else says. But if we are nervous or care what other people think, whether or not we have a beard, whether or not we have a long thobe, and so on and so forth, then we're not doing it for the sake of Allah. So, but once our identity is clear with that, well, alhamdulillah, it makes things a lot easier, and you can be more at peace with yourself. Because when you look at the best generation, which we know is the Prophet ﷺ's generation, and those that follow him and those that follow them, you look at their lifestyles. Most of them, they were merchants, they had businesses. Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu had a business, he was wealthy. Abu Bakr had a business. Umar bin al-Khattab, he worked, he ran businesses. So they still live life like we do. The only difference today between now and then is really technology. We don't necessarily, we have camels out here, but we don't necessarily use them as our main mode of transportation.
Yes.
They still had needs of transportation and trade and so on and so forth. The question is, if this is the best generation and we know this, how can we look to them, yourself or Salih, how can we look to them and imitate what they do and apply the same concepts to have the best understanding? Well, alhamdulillah, it's not a difficult thing. The main thing is our identity. If we seek and strive to please Allah Ta'ala, and we are remembering Allah Ta'ala and all the extra barakah that come around without neglecting, as you mentioned about the sleeping giants, without neglecting our ibadat, then we can continue to have these deeds go on our scale of good deeds and weigh down for us as opposed to against us, inshaAllah ta'ala.
Barakallahu fikum. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah has a very beautiful definition for zuhd. There are many people who gave a lot of definitions that are not based on facts, that are based maybe on their personal opinions or based on their personal beliefs or what they personally want to do in their lives. But Imam Ibn Taymiyyah gives a very, very beautiful definition. He says that zuhd is leaving what is not beneficial in the akhirah. That's it, simply put. So anything in your life that does not benefit your akhirah, that will not help in your akhirah, if you leave it, then that's zuhd. And that is a very, very high level where a believer can be. And if you do that, subhanAllah, then you're not going to fall into any questionable actions, because you're leaving what's not beneficial for the akhirah. So basically everything that you're doing is going in your scale of good deeds, because everything that you're doing is for the akhirah. But buying new clothes can be, a way for you for the akhirah, because when you buy new clothes and you look nice as a Muslim, of course, special advice for our sisters, buying new clothes that is in accordance with the deen. Okay, also for the brothers, when you do that and you go out and people see you dressed well, then they think well of Islam. And so you can be a form of moving da'wah yourself just by dressing well. But when they see that that the religious Muslim is a person has a bad haircut and his clothes are all torn up and things like that, you actually may be turning people away from Islam, and you're not following the teachings of Islam. Okay, and as you mentioned, the Brother Mustafa, was a beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He gave these three companions the correct definition, the correct perfect balance. He said that I break my fast and I fast. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create food for us? So we can eat it, we can eat the halal food. But at the same time, we should stay away from excess, right? And at the same time, when the Prophet ﷺ, he said, I pray and I sleep. All of us, most of us these days, we're trying to do the same thing. In Ramadan, we're trying to sleep and we're trying to pray. So trying to make that balance. And the Prophet ﷺ marries women. That's why the deen of Islam is the perfect balance. As you know, Brother Nadir, in the United States, we have two extremes. We have the priests who don't marry at all, and the nuns who don't marry at all. And then we have a society that says do anything that you want, be with as many partners as you want.
Right.
These two extremes, and then Islam comes to say there's a perfect balance. Let's not go to this extreme because it has its harms, and let's not go to this extreme. Of course, all of us know the harms, all the diseases and all the problems with the society and the single mothers and everything that come out from these relationships, where it's basically, animalistic. The only thing I call them is animalistic relationships, just like the animals do. Okay, they they are together for a certain period of time, and then each person goes their own separate way. Or one person is trying to hold on to this other person, and this person is trying to run away.
Indeed.
Of course, we know that. And then you have the other extreme. The priests, the nuns, other religions that all they think about is celibacy, right? And then what ends up happening? They end up, to be honest, getting involved in haram relationships and raping young children, right? Your thoughts about that, Brother Nabi?
Well, alhamdulillah, I'm glad you mentioned the two extremes, because now there is a time for this detachment in Islam. And detachment as in zuhud, for example. When we think of Ramadan, when we think of the last 10 nights of Ramadan and ittikaf. So there's a specific time that is best for us to actually go and be at this level of leaving everything else during this month.
Yes.
During this month of Ramadan. So, alhamdulillah, there is a time for it.
But that time is not throughout the entire year,
exactly.
Right?
That's exactly my point. And the challenge is when we try to make up rules ourselves, like the priests do. They take what is halal, make it haram, and make what's haram halal.
Yes.
So when we look at how they try to deny the nature that Allah Ta'ala put up in them, then they have other things that come out. And it's of course, it's shameful and disgraceful. On the other side, it's almost like savages. Like I would consider myself someone who came from that savage lifestyle, if you will, prior to accepting Islam. So I understand what you mean, because it's sad as well, because many Muslims sometimes discourage their children from getting married. They want to give goals or these other goals when a child is saying, I'm looking to get married. And these days it's so easy to get involved with other relationships. So it's important that parents, understand what the child is telling them. They're not just saying, oh, I want to get married. Okay, that's a good thought. No, they're saying that it's the time that as young men and young women that they want to get married. They want to protect their sanctity. And we know that marriage is half the deen. But alhamdulillah, we have deen al-haq. We have this deen that has given us the middle path and this straight way,
yes,
and this balanced, ummah and balanced nation. So it's important that we take advantage of that, because again, if we are created solely for Allah Ta'ala's worship, men and jinn strictly for Allah Ta'ala's worship, it does not only mean the rituals. So when we think it only means the rituals, that's the only way to worship Allah Ta'ala, I could understand the misconception. But once you understand it's more broad than that, of course, you're not neglecting the rituals. You don't minimize them whatsoever, but you do have to recognize it's the rituals in addition to everything else throughout life, because Allah Ta'ala is Ar-Rahman.
Jazakallah khairan. I'd like you brothers to watch with me this video, and all my brothers and sisters at home. A short drama that's about two people who are going out shopping. Let's watch and let's comment on it after we come back, inshallah.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Leaving Mount Hira, the revelation came. Read on Muhammad, reading Allah's name. May the blessings of Allah be on Al-Mustafa. None besides him could have been Al-Mujtaba. Muhammad, peace be upon his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last, as his was a mission of the greatest task. There was only moral degeneration. People clung to idol adoration. Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
The point of this video was to show that us as Muslims, we're able to enjoy this life. And you see these two brothers, they're out there and they're shopping and they're buying clothes. I'm sure, of course, a lot of the sisters, maybe not the brothers, can relate to this video too much, but I know for sure that a lot of my dear sisters are able to relate to this video. Yes, sister, you can go out shopping, but you shouldn't spend your whole life shopping. For example, I know sisters, whenever they have a problem in their life, instead of going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, instead of praying 2 rak'ahs, how do I solve my problem? How do I get out of my depression? I go shopping. If you do that once in a while, that's okay, but that shouldn't be the thing that you do all the time, inshallah. Let's take Sister Fatima from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak, sister.
Ramadan Kareem to you too.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, to enable us keep a balance between dunya and akhirah, we Muslims need to work more on making the atmosphere more conducive for ourselves. For instance, if I want to start a small business, you need to get a loan. And you know, for you to get a loan, most times there is this issue of interest.
Yes, riba.
So I think we're now put in a kind of situation whereby I have to either I have to start my business or maybe probably
you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice whether what's more important for you is the dunya that you're seeking, or if it's your deen, or for your akhirah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So we Muslims need to work more on that. Try to make have more outfits that are Islamically favorable, kind of, so that we'll always not have to choose between the dunya and the akhir. For instance, if I want to go maybe to a gymnasium and I need to lose weight, most of the gyms we have around, you find out that they're all for men and women.
Yes.
So we need to have outfits whereby it's Islamically friendly. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's a very beautiful point. So you're saying we need to have Islamic alternatives. You know, for the haram, we need to provide for the halal. As a general point, there will always be a struggle. No matter how hard we work to provide alternatives, there will always be a struggle between deen and dunya. Because until the end of time, there will always be the haqq and there will always be the batil. There will always be the truth and there will always be falsehood. But at the same time, we could always try to minimize the problems that we have as Muslims by establishing things of our own. And that's something that's very part of Islam. But if all of us, say we're not going to get involved in anything, the dunya, then who's going to provide for the livelihood of the Muslims? Let me take Brother Muhammad from Gambia. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing, brother? Ramadan Mubarak.
Yeah, may Allah help us to how Ramadan. May Allah make us to see many Muhammad songs. Inshallah.
Unfortunately, Brother Muhammad, I'm not able to hear your call.
Is that we know the purpose of creation.
The phone line is cutting off, and I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah, the main purpose of
okay, I'm trying to get what he's trying to say, but it looks like there's a problem with the internet connection. Inshallah, please try to give us a call back, Brother Muhammad. And brothers and sisters, feel free to continue giving us a call in this extended segment, inshallah, at 002-0238-555, 248 or 249. Also on our Skype at Huda_TV. Brother Mustafa, as a Muslim youth, and mashallah, of course, you're dressed as a Muslim youth. What are some of the most common issues that you feel that there's a struggle with? We had Sister Fatima, she's saying she had a problem with starting a business. And she also had a problem with going to the gym. Some people say, what are you talking about going to the gym? That's part of Islam, to keep the balance of our bodies, to make sure that we're always in the best health. And that's actually one of the goals of Ramadan, to get our body detoxed, to get it cleansed, to make sure that inshallah we try to stay in shape. What are some of the things that you're struggling with?
I think I have a comment regarding going to the gym and so on. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Al-mu'min al-qawi khayrun wa ahabbu ilallah min al-mu'min al-da'if," which means that the strong believer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the strong believer than other people. So building someone, being fit and being in shape, this is something of the religion. Having a strong Muslim is something of the deen. So when I go to the gym, this can be a way this can be something that can be rewarded on. When I go to the gym and I be fit and I'm strong, better than spending my time chatting on Facebook or doing this or that, this is something that I can be rewarding on, again, according to what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. But even I have more things to say about I love always to think about what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did during his life. You know, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to raise his wife Aisha when she was young. So there are different, different stories that we can see in Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, different many things that we can see that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did that tells us that not staying in the mosque and not praying is the whole life and not the only thing that you can be rewarded on. Back again, being in shape and going to the gym, this is something that you can be rewarded on. Having your own business and setting your own business that you can earn money from, and then you can spend it on the poor people and you get rewarded on these things. This is something of the deen. This is something that you can be rewarded in, better than just doing the rituals and praying and so on. And that's it.
It's not better, but it's
a way.
It has its time.
Right.
There's a time
Definitely.
for everything.
Yeah, we can't say that no rituals and no. Again, the balance between this and that. So there are different ways. I mean, there are different things that you can be rewarded on, rather than just praying. Of course, praying is very important, and there is time for this, but also other things. I remember one of the hadith that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, when someone dies, his deeds are over except for three things, and one of them is the knowledge that that people can benefit from. So when someone dies, then his prayer doesn't help him anymore, but maybe a knowledge that he left, a book that he wrote and left it, and people can benefit from this. He can be rewarded for this after even he is dead. So yes, so all of these things are from the religion. All of these things the Muslim is rewarded on. Going to the gym can be something that you can be rewarded on. And remember the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the strong Muslim more than other Muslims. And remember also that what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did in his wife, and how he did in his life, and how he raised his wife. He helped his wife Aisha radiallahu anha to see the people playing in the mosque, and the people were playing in the mosque at that time. It wasn't the time for the prayer. The people were even from the Habasiyah. They were praying they were playing in the mosque, and Prophet Muhammad ﷺ helped her to see and watch those people. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did everything in his life, everything that was halal. It wasn't just worshipping, but was dealing with other people. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also worked as a shepherd, and he was serving his own family. So it's more than just praying and fasting, and that's it. Of course, there's time for praying and fasting, but also time for other things that you will be rewarded in.
Jazakallah khairan. But Nadir, the final word in this segment is for you. We have about 10 or 15 seconds, inshallah.
Alright, well, alhamdulillah. Well, the thing is that we as Muslims, obviously, we want what's best. And when the sister mentioned going to the gym and also mentioned the business, she has to keep in mind, as Muslims, we have to continue to pursue, because there are alternatives. You don't have to go to the gym. Work out at home. All right, that's the easiest, actually the best thing, especially for our sisters. When it comes to business, there's alternatives like internet business, or like MuslimMoneyman.com, where Muslims teach other Muslims about the basics and all this stuff for free. So there are other alternatives. So as long as you have the proper niyyah and you tend to keep going instead of thinking that you hit a brick wall, Allah Ta'ala will open up a way and a path for you. So, and that will allow that balance, and that is actually a part of worship, because the risk, you're going to be asked about how you made it and how you spent it. So make sure that it comes from halal. Anything that's dealing with riba, where Allah and His Messenger, they declare war on that individual, we don't have to just give up because we think that's what it is in traditional business. We Muslims, we can be alternative, we can do things differently, and especially with the internet, it levels the playing field out for lots of people. That's one of the things we teach at OutstandingMuslimParents.com, is for these different alternatives, and parents to keep going and be the example for the children. So jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feekum. Thank you both for joining me in this segment. Really enjoyed it, and inshallah, our brothers and sisters also enjoyed it. A lot of useful information. The reason that I wanted to bring both of you is because both of you are involved in deen and in dunya. So it gives us a practical, real life example, inshallah. And of course, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for all the knowledge that you have shared with us. Barakallah feekum. And my dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, stay with us in the next segment. I'm going to sum up all of this for you. What how can we make that perfect balance? If we feel that we're going one way and we're not going the other way, if we feel that we're going to the right more or to the left more, how can we get back on the straight path? How can we make that perfect balance? What does zuhd really mean, and how can we make it a part of our life without falling into the extremes? Stay with me, I'll see you after the break, inshallah.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
The kings, the monarchs, the rich and the wealthy and the healthy people have already consumed of the vanities of this life. Nothing is left. So he is telling us that the akhirah is coming and approaching us. And the Prophet ﷺ informed them about the hellfire, that just a stone which falls in the hellfire will not reach its end even after 70 years. In today's hadith, we are talking about one of the keys of success of individuals and also nations, and at the same time a means of destruction for nations and individuals. And what you're supposed to do, the Messenger ﷺ uncovered his body. He showed his stomach, his belly ﷺ to Sawad, and he said to him, take the siwak, take this stick and hit it as I did it with you. For some people, they say time is money, but for the believer, time is equal to Jannah. Where we focus on some of the teachings of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to apply that in our daily life.
Muhammad, peace be upon his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal.
Face Islam. Muslims everywhere are faced with issues and situations every day. Let's find those solutions together, right here on Face Islam. Won't you join us here for Face Islam?
Face Islam with Sheikh Yusuf Estes and put all of those misconceptions to rest. Sheikh Yusuf addresses the most common misconceptions one by one and puts the critics to shame.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الرسول الصادق الأمين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, I love this final segment when I'm talking directly to you, because it's really where we sum up everything that we talked about. The format of this program, as we said, is a little bit different from my other program. We begin with the discussion, me, you, and the guests. And we try together to find out what are the solutions to the issue that we're talking about. And then I come and I try to sum it up all for you, from the Quran, from the Sunnah, from the saying of the Salaf, and from real life examples. And because I really, wallahi, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I really, really care for you and really, really love you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I truly, truly wish for every single brother and every single sister who's watching me to be going to Jannah. Even if I'm not going to be one of the inhabitants of Jannah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't write that for me, I want you to be that person. And that's why, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, in this program, every single night we take one step closer to Jannah, one step closer to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Back to the idea that we're talking about, this perfect balance. The perfect balance between the deen and the dunya. Let me be honest with you, that perfect balance is very hard to achieve. And many times you're going to see yourself going towards, even if you're have not reached, but you're going towards either one of the two extremes that we talked about. The first extreme is the dunya, the second extreme is the deen. Before I tell you what you should do, because I like to keep the program very practical, let me tell you a beautiful ayah in the Quran that always, 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 when I hear it, I feel that I need to repeat it. I feel that I need to repeat it all the time because subhanAllah, it touches my heart every single time that I read it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. Then the next ayah, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. But you choose often this dunya, this low dunya, and the akhirah, the next life, is better and it's everlasting. Compared to the dunya, it's much, much, much more everlasting. This dunya, my dear brothers and sisters, is what, 60 years, 70 years, a maximum 100 years. It's not even beautiful all the time. Many struggles, many trials, many tribulations. A lot of times when we're struggling, even struggling in the dunya that we're sticking to so much, we're struggling, working very hard day and night all the time so that we can provide for ourselves. You want something in this dunya, you're going to have to work hard for it. It's not going to come like that. But in the akhirah, my dear brothers and sisters, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. And the next life, the life of the akhirah, the life of the next life, the life of Jannah, بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ ta'ala, is better and it's more everlasting. Remember these two ayahs, and they are in a very famous surah that a lot of us know, and we hear it many times in Salat al-Jum'ah being recited, Surah Al-A'la. بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Let me tell you the solution to trying your best to achieve that perfect balance. The solution is very simple. Become your own doctor. What do you mean by become your own doctor? Become your own doctor. There's no better doctor for you, for your heart, than yourself. Yes, you can ask for help from me and other callers to Allah, or you can ask a sheikh about a certain issue, but at the end of the day, we're only helpers. You are the doctor, because you are the most person that knows exactly what the condition of your heart is. So become your own doctor. What do I mean by that? If you see yourself going towards the extreme of the dunya, and that the dunya is becoming so great in your heart, then always remind yourself of how low this dunya is. Remind yourself that this dunya, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not even weigh a wing of a fly. Not even a fly, I'm talking about a wing of a fly. It doesn't even weigh that in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you feel that the dunya is becoming too much in your heart, and all you're focusing on, and all your dreams, and all your goals, and all your conversations, and all your thinking is about the dunya, and about work, and about this, and about that, then treat yourself. Because you're the only doctor of your own self. How do I treat myself? Again, make the dunya less in your heart. Make the dunya small in your heart. Remind yourself that no matter how great your life is right now in the dunya, that it will end very soon. That's one end. And then at the same time, if you feel that all you're thinking about is fasting every single day and not breaking your fast, you're not doing your duties to your family. For example, like one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ would leave his wife, and not give her rights. If you feel that this is happening to you, if you as a sister feel that all you want to do is sit down and read Qur'an all day and not take care of your family and not cook for your husband and for your children, then also treat yourself. Treat yourself by reminding yourself that this is not the true definition of zuhd. As Imam Ibn Taymiyyah says, zuhd is leaving everything and anything that will not benefit in the akhirah. But cooking for your family and raising your children will benefit you in the akhirah. And you will get rewarded for it. And brother, going to work and providing for your family will benefit you in the akhirah. Because you providing the source of income and the source of sustenance for your family is a way for you to enter Jannah, and a sadaqah for you every time you do it. And my dear sister, every time you make food and every time you help your children something, it is a sadaqah. It is a sadaqah. So it will be beneficial for you in the akhirah. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, with this continuous struggle, you will reach as much as possible the perfect balance. And let me tell you something very important about this balance, my dear brothers and sisters. It's not a balance that you will achieve it and you'll come one day and say, you know what, I've been working very hard for about 5 years now, I've been working very hard for 10 years to achieve that balance. And alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, today, after a 20-year struggle, alhamdulillah, I was able to reach it. No, that will never happen. If I tell you that, then I'm lying to you. It's a continuous struggle. A struggle that will continue as long as you are continuing to be on the straight path. So sometimes you feel yourself go into this extreme. Go back. Sometimes you'll feel yourself go into that other extreme. Come back. And try always to stay in the middle, because that is the middle path. And that middle path is Islam. Jazakumullahu khairan. I'll see you tomorrow night, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Let me just remind you very quickly to stay in touch with me by email, inshallah, at steps@huda.tv. I check all your emails and I read them, and if you need a response, I'll respond to you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala and try to help you with whatever situation that you're going through. And right after the episode, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I'll be on Facebook, on both Facebook pages, my personal Facebook page that you see on the screen, and the Facebook page of Huda TV, hearing your comments and your thoughts about tonight's episode, and hearing your suggestions and trying to answer your questions bi'idhnillahi ta'ala on tonight's topic. Jazakumullahu khairan. I'll see you tomorrow night again bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Until then, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, try to make this Ramadan the best Ramadan ever, and try to take one step closer every single night in Ramadan to Jannah and to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan, oh Lord? Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan, oh Lord? Help this man, help this man.